I'm staring out into a new beginning. Looking in your eyes, it's so, so clear. The pain we caused each other all has ended. We're starting over, baby, right now, right here. A vision of a new day. A changing of our minds. The love we both discovered, we almost left behind.
Looking sweeter than I've ever seen you. I really like the way you wear your hair. I'm understanding all misunderstandings. Do anything to show how much I care. Let's embrace this new beginning. So warm and wonderful. The sweetest revival. Ooh, starting over.
Some people never take a chance to start again. No, no, no. Resentment, anger, pride, it keeps them from being friends.
Good evening. The Design Review Board 2 public meeting of March 11, 2010 is called to order. Please refrain from talking amongst yourselves during the meeting, and please turn off or put on vibrate all cell phones and pagers. If you need to talk, please leave the meeting room. Anyone who wishes to speak, including applicants, is asked to completely fill out one of the speaker's cards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff. You will be called to present a case or speak on a specific item as desired. Anyone who wishes to be re-noticed about a project must completely fill out one of the postcards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff to receive notice of subsequent meetings. Current DRB agendas are available by calling our DRB hotline at 818-548-3171 or by visiting our website at www.ci.glendale.ca.us. A handout describing the procedures of the meeting, possible board decisions, and DRB reconsideration and appeals is available at the table by the front door. Please note that appeals must be filed within 15 calendar days of the DRB decision date. The chairperson may reorder agenda items at his or her discretion. Roll call. Mr. Baladian?
Here.
Mr. Garagos?
Here.
Mr. Malikian?
Here.
Ms. Sakai?
Here.
Mr. Zarifian? Absent. Report regarding posting of the agenda. The agenda for this meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall at or before 5 p.m. on March 4th, 2010. Oral communications. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak on an item not a part of this agenda? Do you have any cards, Mr. Garagos?
I have none.
Okay. We are down to the review calendar and staff announcements. Staff does have three announcements, or one announcement concerning three items. Staff would like to request items A, B, and D be continued for 2 weeks. So we could have, and I'll go into this more, a vote on continuing it to March 25th. That'd be great. Those three items are 2 PDR 2010-001A at 1060 Rosedale Avenue. The second is 2 PDR 2009-079-A at 700 East Palmer Street. The third one is 2 PDR 2010-002A at 3325 Encinal.
Can I get a motion for the change?
I'll make a motion.
Why don't we do them
I'll do
separately?
Oh, separately.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion to, yes, we good.
Motion to continue the item at 1060 Rosedale Avenue to March 25th without further notice.
Yeah. Any, no objection, so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call. Mr. Malikian?
Yes.
Mr. Baladian?
Yes.
Ms. Sakai?
Yes.
Mr. Garros?
Yes.
Okay, the second one at 700 East Palmer Street. Also, we'd like to continue this to a date certain, March
Make a motion
25th,
to continue?
without
Second.
notice.
Second.
Okay. Motion was made to continue the project to March 25th. Roll call, Mr. Malikian?
Yes.
Ms. Sakai?
Yes.
Mr. Baladian?
Yes.
And Mr. Garros?
Yes.
And the third one at 3325 Encinal Avenue.
Make a motion to continue?
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion was made to continue this item to March 25th, 2010, without further notice. Roll call, Mr. Malikian?
Yes.
Ms. Sakai?
Yes.
Mr. Baladian?
Yes.
Mr. Gargos?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm assuming all of these were because of the posting of the, or was it specific? or-
Two of them were, I believe, code-related issues. I'm not sure what the third one was.
I see.
Okay, I was asked, okay, are you done? You okay?
Yeah, we're just on to the consent calendar.
There's one other item. I was asked to take C last,
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
so if that is okay with everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, we will take C last, so we will be starting with consent calendar, which is 2 PDR 2009-073-A, 3759 Los Amigos Street. It's on the consent calendar, which means that if it isn't asked to go on to the review basis, we can vote on it right now. Does anybody have any concerns or questions on this item? Somebody want to make a motion?
Okay. If I move to approve 3759 Los Amigos Street as proposed.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second?
Okay, there was a motion made by Ms. Sakai to approve the project as proposed, second by Mr. Malikian. This is a roll call. Mr. Baladian?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Malikian?
Yes.
You made the motion.
No, I mean, I was just trying to see if there was, I didn't even read the recommendations, but there wasn't any, so, okay. Yes.
And Ms. Sakai?
Yes.
And Chairman Gergos?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, we are moving on to item design review cases. Item E, 2 PDR 2009-80-A, 638 West Dryden.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. The next item before you is Design Review 2009-080, a review of a proposal to construct a new 1,209-square-foot dwelling unit behind an existing single-family house. An existing one-car detached garage located behind the residence will remain and be attached to the proposed project. The site is approximately 6,500 square feet and located at 638 West Dryden Street. Let me go over with you what's on the board. You're looking at this area here. The site plan is here. Dryden Street is here, the existing house, the existing garage, and then the new project is here. The second floor is here in roof plan. Elevation drawings. This is the elevation facing the street. This is the rear elevation, and then the two side elevations. Photos of the site, a map, 3D rendering, and material board, and I think we also have some samples as well.
Roger, that garage on the left hand, is that part of the property? Where is that? Is it next door? Or?
This, no, it's right here actually.
It doesn't show graphically very well.
You're right.
So it's part of, it's on the property.
It's existing. The side property line is here, and the garage is about a foot in from that.
That's actually on the site plan, it's hard to read.
Yeah, because the line weights are all similar.
Any questions for staff?
You want me to finish, or you want me to?
Oh, go ahead. I don't know, I thought you were finishing.
Okay, there are no, as you probably know, there are no multifamily design guidelines. The subject area is located in an area, or the site's located in an area zoned for lower density multifamily development. Properties in the area developed with both single-family residences and much more dense multifamily residences. The proposed project should be evaluated primarily based on its compatibility with on-site development and immediately adjacent development, with particular attention being paid to mass and scale and accessibility and visibility of common open space. The existing single-family house, which will not be altered as a result of the project, is located in the front of the site. The existing detached garage is located in the rear half of the site. The proposed project will be located in the rear half of the site behind the existing residence and attached to the existing garage. The context of West Dryden Street varies widely from small single-family residences to much larger, relatively dense multifamily developments. Given the location and the height of the existing house and the location of the existing garage, the proposed project will not be readily visible from the street. The common open space is located west of the new portion of the driveway between the two dwelling units. The area is easily accessible from both units and is configured in a usable manner. Given the condition of the lawn and the extent of the proposed construction, staff does recommend that the board add a condition to submit landscape plans for the area surrounding the proposed project prior to issuance of a building permit. The mass and scale of the built environment varies widely on this portion of Dryden, from small single-family houses to large multifamily, multi-story developments. Given the height of the existing house and the height and the distance from the street of the proposed new residential unit, the project will not significantly alter the mass and scale as viewed from the street. The property to the east is developed with a one-story house. The property to the west is developed with a three-story house, three-story multifamily building. The scale of the site after development of the proposed project is in between those two scales.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. The existing one-car garage and the proposed two-car garage are located next to each other. Generally, the mass of three garages is not conducive in small lots. The fact that the two garages are on different planes and faced with different material reduces the appearance of the three-car garage. The board should consider requiring a reduction in the size of the windows, particularly in the west elevation, to be in better scale with the relatively modest unit. The neighborhood contains a variety of styles, development of a variety of styles. The proposed residence and attached garage is a simple design using conventional forms and materials, which reinforces the simple design. The majority of the residence is faced with plaster, although siding is proposed at the entry. Utilization of more siding in the design of the residence at the first level of the west, south, and a portion of the east elevations would provide additional interest and further break the massing of the building. Staff recommends providing a fiberglass or aluminum window frame as opposed to vinyl, which is proposed to upgrade the materials used on the house. I believe staff had 4 conditions and considerations that were listed in the staff report. Do you want me to go over them, or?
Yeah, we'll go quickly, yeah.
Okay. The first was a landscape plan for the area surrounding the proposed project shall be reviewed and approved by the Community Planning Department prior to the issuance of a building permit. The second, fiberglass or aluminum windows shall be used throughout the proposed dwelling unit to be approved by the Community Development Department. Third is consider reducing the size of the windows, particularly on the west elevation, to be in better scale with the facades of the residence. The last one is consider utilizing additional siding in the design of the residence at the first level of the west, south, and portion of the east elevations. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions.
Sure. Questions.
Please.
My first question, can you explain to me how does the existing garage, being that it's 1 feet away from the property line, and the new proposed building that is being attached to that, the existing 1 foot is still a 1 foot, and because of the new development that is attaching to the garage, not affecting that 1 foot as being the conforming and non-conforming?
It's no longer a detached accessory by having livable attached.
No, it's an attached building, attached.
Well, it's an existing non-conforming structure that's not being changed. I'm not sure, maybe your question.
My question is, from my understanding, and we can talk about it after, but my question is, from my understanding, when you have a detached, non-conforming garage,
Non-habitable.
existing non-conforming garage that is detached, when you attach a new building to that, that building needs to be 5 feet away from the existing garage for it to remain as an existing non-conforming garage. Once you attach a new garage, then that becomes part of the new development, and the setback of that existing garage gets affected as the new development.
Oh, well, if you, I was going to say, if you'd like, I can sort of.
Can you explain to me?
Yeah, what you have here, what you're talking about is correct if you're talking about single-family development in a single-family zone. In multifamily, a detached or an attached garage is required to have a 5-foot side yard. So when this garage was originally constructed with a 1-foot setback, it was legal non-conforming. It remains legally non-conforming today. And you don't have to average off the garage in a multifamily development. Right. So it maintains its nonconformity. And as we sort of say in zoning parlance, if you have a nonconformity, only the addition has to conform. And in this case, the addition happens to be a brand new unit.
Even though that brand-new unit gets attached to the existing?
That's correct, because an attached or detached garage in a multifamily zone has the same setback. So the degree of nonconformity is not being increased. It's not being changed. If you had, that's just the way it works in multifamily. In single family, clearly, you would not be able to do this. Get a break in multifamily because of the required setback, and this being non-conforming, it's not changing. Attached or detached, it's still okay. It's a quirk. It's rather a quirk in the code, and it doesn't always come into play a lot. This is a very unusual situation, but we've had others where there have been issues, certainly in single-family development. You could not do this.
Let's talk after.
Sure.
What's a good question? Very good
And then
question.
my second question is, has the fire department looked at this development?
Offhand, I don't know. Have
How
you?
would the fire department allow you to create a development that you do not have a full access all around the structure?
I will propose a door.
We can.
Okay.
well,
Yeah, I don't know whether.
I'm not sure if that's even allowed, because if it's a detached garage and if it's on the property, assuming that it's open all three sides, you can access that. But now you're building a building that you only have one, and then as they come around, it's completely blocked off.
Yeah.
So that's the other
Okay.
concern that I'm.
That I don't know. The applicant can
All right.
say if he's.
And then I have a question for the architect, so whenever
Okay.
it comes.
Does anybody else have a question for staff? Is this structure built to the limit of what it can be as a second unit?
I'm sorry. Is it built?
Is there the max livable that's on the building now?
No. The floor area ratio in the R3050 zone is 0.65, and it's built to 0.49.
0.49, okay.
What's the rear yard minimum on this type, on this
5 and 8.
feet? In the rear too?
5 feet minimum, 8 average. Yeah.
Okay, any questions for staff? Okay, I have one card, Rigo Garcia. Can you come up and speak? Can you state your name and address?
Yes, 638 West Dryden, where the project is located.
Your address.
Your
My
address.
address is 1437 North Lima Street, Burbank, California,
Thank you.
91505.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, this project, we're trying to make it a really simple architecture to be compatible with the surrounding buildings. We have a mixed styles of architecture down Dryden Street, and yet my design approach was to make something more compatible, respecting all the setbacks, using the materials to mimic the existing materials of the surrounding neighborhood.
Okay.
Okay?
Any questions for the applicant?
I do, actually.
Yes.
What's the minimum, or what's the dimension from the corner of the existing garage to the corner of the existing house?
There's a 20-foot turning.
I'm not talking about the 20-foot, I understand that. I'm talking about the corner of the existing one-car garage
Okay.
to the corner of the existing house. Because right now, what you're making people do is basically drive like an S shape and maneuver around between those two structures. So I'm wondering, what is that dimension? I understand it meets the code, meaning that the 25-foot radius is given so that all your building and all the openings and whatever is there. But, I mean, my concern is, as you drive down the driveway and you want to come around and then quickly turn left sharp into the garage.
There's a 12-foot separation from the corner of the existing house to the corner of the existing garage.
Okay. And have you met with the fire department?
No, I have not.
That's all I had.
I think you answered all my questions, almost.
Ms. Scott?
Thank you.
Just let me the material board. Oh, 1 second. Just so we're clear, I'm in the material board. Your intent is to match the colors in the front of the house?
Right now, the house has a green color, the existing house, and we're trying to use the same material, green.
That green or gray?
This color here is going to be because you have a siding that's beige, so you're actually
Beige is for the siding.
for the siding?
We're proposing siding. The existing garage has siding. We wanted to blend the new structure to that existing to be more compatible with the material.
And that's the color of the siding on the existing garage?
That's more or less the color of the existing garage, right?
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's start.
Yes.
Sorry, guys, I'm running.
I can go ahead and start.
Okay.
I have a couple of concerns. It's a simple, modest addition, but I think it's a little bit more simple than I would want it to be. I think it needs a little bit more detail. But besides the detail, I think there's other site planning concerns that I have that this is a typical definition on my end, on my book, is to develop the property to its fullest capability and use to the inches that you have available. I think right now the way that the first one-car garage is located, the way it sits right now, it works. But when you add another building next to that, in order for you to maneuver around that and go into the structure, I think that's going to be really, really tight. So I'm not really sure what would be the solution. My recommendation, I think I'm going to require him to meet with Tom Mitchell, the traffic engineer, even though it's a multifamily, but it's a single family. I want him, he's the professional, he knows the maneuvering capabilities of the car, and he deals with that. I would feel comfortable for him to look at this thing. And so what I'm concerned about is that they're going to build a structure in the parking that it's not going to be used. The first time the guy goes in, he's going to back out into the common area in order for him to kind of head out straight. No one's going to back out, making an S maneuver shape out of there. So that common outdoor space is pretty much going to be used for a turnaround area. So what I want to make sure is that for him to tell me, yeah, this is going to work. The car can go in and then they can back out and go out, especially the one to the right. So that's one. The second issue or concern that I have, as the garage stands right now without the development, the fire department has full access to the entire yard, back of the garage, side of the garage, and so forth. So now what we're creating is this area, that corner, that essentially if something happens, there's no full access, even though it may not be a big deal. I think all of these are being generated based on the size of the building that is being proposed for me, even though that it's allowed and everything else. My other concern that I have is I could not see a location to put in the trash and recycle other than the back area, which that means is that the front unit needs to walk all the way to the back. So if there is a place that needs to be indicated, I would like to see that. As far as the design of the building, I think all the elevations have enough interest happening. The rear elevation is probably the most exciting, has a lot of different variations in the facade, and you got all kinds of windows that are placed. But when you come to the main elevation as you drive up and you see the building and the visibility of the second floor addition, and I'm not sure if it's actually going to be seen from the street or not, but that straight facade, I think, needs some work there in order for it to kind of create some interest. And I think the siding is an interesting element to add. And you may want to visit the design of it, maybe placing the siding on top of the second floor addition, that as you look from the back or from the street, you kind of see it's not a stucco box that is being added in the back of the lot. It's a siding, has pretty much the same kind of detail.
The most would be visual would be the upper floor.
Exactly, and it kind of ties the front unit to the back building, so it kind of gives some sort of a interest, add some interest there. But I think my main concern is mostly site planning and accessing the garage and so forth. So that's my concern. So.
Well, in addition to Alan's comments, actually, Alan, you covered all my points today. You took all my comments.
You should speak up first now.
I know, next time.
You had a double lunch, too.
Double lunch, too. Can you believe it? I mean, the elevations are pretty clean. I agree with the staff comments as far as reducing, probably revisit the windows. The amount there's revisit the windows, reduce the amount of windows. I still don't feel comfortable about this. I'm going to repeat it. The garage situation, it's pretty tight, and I guess the code, whatever the zoning, they approved it. I guess if it works, it works. But I still feel you need to check with the fire department. And the one thing I don't understand is the garage, the way it worked out. I don't know if the existing house going to utilize the two-car garage or the single garage. It's kind of, there's a question mark there. It's not just so there's no door from the two-car garage to the new dwelling. If you notice that, I don't know who's going to utilize that two-car garage. If you see there's no door going to the dwelling.
When you come out, you go around. They have to go around the building and come into the front and enter.
Or from the front,
Or go through the garage.
So there's some kind of confusion there. You need to look in. I don't know, maybe you should propose a door going from two-car garage towards the kitchen. I don't know, a door there. I would have put it if they're gonna, for the new dwelling instead of walking outside. Maybe the two garage will be used by the front unit. Maybe that's why you're not providing a door, whatever reason you have. But overall, I'm not that crazy about we need to talk about the color, and we'll talk about it for the material, color selection and the materials. So, and that's about it.
Mrs. Guy?
It's interesting. I didn't get the color rendered drawings in my package. I saw them today for the first time, and it kind of changes the perception of the elevation. Because at first, looking at the black and white 2D elevations, didn't really think I liked them. They seemed like they had a lot of variety in it. The size of the windows worked for me. But looking at the north elevation, your front elevation, I do think that Mr. Malikian's comment about it being kind of plain and simple and a stark wall really shows up in the color renderings and the AXO. And I would recommend either adding the siding to the second floor or looking at some other way of breaking up that large wall in the front. And it's actually interesting because in the black and white drawings, the garage door carries the lines of the siding, the horizontal lines, but in effect it's not going to look like that because it's going to be a different material altogether. It's going to be a garage door. So I think that's where it looks better in the black and whites and not in the color. But it's a real simple thing to just go ahead and add a separate material like the hardy board siding, which I'm a little confused about the colors. Excuse me, the garage is a different color than the house, the one-car garage. I thought they were the same colors, because I think that the color of the house, the way that the house is done, is really nice, and that color could just carry on to the rest of the property, that we kind of have a cohesiveness between the first house and the second house. Sorry.
1 second, we'll get back.
Yeah, so I just need to see this again. Yeah, I think the one-car garage, where is the one-car?
I don't see a picture of the one-car garage.
Oh, that one, I think it's this one. I think the one-car garage is the same color as the main house,
Yeah.
in which case I'm not sure if these are the colors that we're talking about for the second house, which you can address later. But I think that in your notes you say to match the existing house, which I would agree that it should match the existing house. I don't have a problem with the size of the windows. I think I like big windows, and the way that they're done on the west elevation works for me. I don't necessarily think you need to put more siding around the entire lower half of the house because, again, you're not really going to see it. I think just the point about having the north elevation, because it's the main elevation, have the extra siding on that elevation. And then in landscape terms, just to note the planting materials, you're showing a hedge around the two sides. I'm not sure what happens on the third side. Maybe add another hedge on the third side as well. But I do also have a concern about the one-car garage. It wasn't really clear until you get to the AXO view that there is that one-car garage, and how you access the back is kind of, it's kind of a question mark in my mind too. But if planning will let you do it, go ahead. That's about it.
Okay, thank you. Most of the points are covered. I do think that north elevation needs a little bit of something, and I agree that I think the upper siding might be the way to do it. I do wish that one section projected, just a 2-foot cantilever, I think would help, just accentuate it. We could talk about whether that's necessary. But I think the siding would help. The window is kind of small. It would be nice if it was actually that particular one was bigger. I don't necessarily have a problem with the windows on the west elevation. That's the living room, and I think it could use the light, and there's not really a privacy issue on the first floor. But I do agree that the materials, we need to talk about the materials and the color, because they really should match the front house, or at least those elements should match, or the colors should match. And I guess I agree with the conditions that staff came up with. I think those are fine. But in the issues that we brought up, is that, we could ask staff the question, can we condition it that it be reviewed by those departments and that major changes that would need to come back to us? Okay.
I have one more question.
Sure, go ahead.
Sorry.
All right.
So now that I'm clear about the detached garage and the existing or the new, it's considered as a new, and so the detached has nothing to do with the new proposed. So detached can stay where it is, and the new building will be considered as a new, so it has to meet all the requirements of a multifamily.
Correct.
Right?
Right. Correct.
And this is an R3050.
Correct.
On an R3050 ground level setbacks, is it 5 foot minimum, 8 foot average? I just did it, and it's coming out 5.5 average in the back.
And then,
Well, that you may not include. You can include or not include that garage.
That's my question. So do we count the garage as part of this average setback?
In this case, you need to, or else it won't meet the average. At the applicant's discretion, you can include that. You can include a garage
You
as
can
part of the
include-
setback averaging or not.
You can include the average setback, but then you pick and choose which side you want to use and which side you don't want to use?
Yeah.
Okay. So on the...
And I guess in most instances, it doesn't help the applicant. In this case, it did.
So on the south elevation, you use it, but on the east elevation, you don't, and on the west elevation, you do. So you pick and choose.
Yes.
but the one thing is, I know I'm struggling just like Alan. If you have the sides, right? You have the sides, the setbacks, and he's attaching the new structure to the existing. You're losing that. The whole reason about the setback is to have some clearance away from the property line.
Yeah, because
and you're blocking it.
the way I'm looking at it is right now, I'm just looking at this as this is not an 8 foot average. But what I need to do is I need to go back to this structure. Now you have all of this as part of this setback.
Right.
Okay. Well,
Well, as long as staff, we will.
No, I mean, I'm
We'll
just
ask
trying to
staff to review
understand
the
this
setbacks
thing,
again.
because to me, I think it's just being this.
Having been caught by this issue in the past on other projects, I
No,
completely agree why
that's
it's
different
the reason
story, which
is
we're gonna continue
because you
on that.
have
Totally
because you
understand
have
why you're
the
concerned about it.
You have the existing and the new. They're attached.
The issue for me that happened in the past is that it's a livable footage that you're adding on to an existing accessory. The accessory hadn't got that setback because it was detached, non-habitable,
No,
and you're
it isn't.
attaching a habitable onto the detached accessory. So that doesn't change the status of the.
No, I guess not.
Multifamily.
Not in the multifamily zone,
Yeah, we're all
unfortunately.
done. Okay.
But it is strange that you have the door to the garage, you have to go all the way around to the front,
I completely
and you
agree.
have this dead space.
You know, I'll tell you
And
what
the
my
one car.
issue is, because when you start looking at the structure itself, you have really tight turning around area. to
It's
get to
triggering
the-
a whole bunch of other issues. Yeah.
You have a dining room that's only
Away.
what 8 foot wide, or
9 foot.
9 foot something wide.
Instance, building around the existing house, it's like a bumper pool table. That bumper is there. You've got to take that into account. It'd be a lot easier to scrape the lot and start over. But given the realities, that's not going to happen. So you have this
one-car garage. It's sort of stuck in the corner. You're building around the other unit. So what the applicant has done in this particular instance is taken advantage of, the zoning, some would say is an arcane way to look at the zoning for this particular site, and has used it to his advantage to meet the code. However, that does not mean it's good design or bad design.
And that's
Right.
where I'm having a problem with.
But that
I'm looking at the design,
right.
but I'm trying to find a way to justify the design, but, when I'm looking at this thing, and I'm looking at it, obviously I never go inside the building, but when I start affecting the building, the volume, I'm trying to see where we can kind of use some space there, and there's nowhere. I mean,
And there may not be, and if
There may not
that
be.
and if that's the case, again, the fact that somebody has used the code to their advantage, good for them. But if it ends up in a design that you feel is just inadequate,
Right.
Given their site, limitations that they have on this particular site, then you should say so and vote accordingly.
One other question that I have, the common open space, can it be in the front yard?
No.
Okay, are we good? Well,
One,
sure. Go ahead.
That's unequivocal.
when I say front yard, not front yard setback.
Oh, in the front yard, it can be adjacent to the front setback area, sure.
So
As long as it's not in the front setback
So
area.
if he gets 20 feet, and then beyond the 20 feet, you got the 5 foot and plus, because you got a 25-foot setback, so in the front,
Yeah, he needs a 25-foot setback here. This is not an average setback in the front. In R3050, the setback is 25 feet in the front.
Beyond that.
Beyond 20.
Yeah.
I thought it was 20.
No, in R3050, because it's a transition to a single family, that's a straight 25-foot front setback. So there's no averaging in the front. So they have to be beyond the 25 feet to have common open space.
It's always nice that staff is concerned about the financial implications. It's very encouraging. Any other questions? How do we want to proceed? Somebody wants to make a motion. Like I said, I think your point about making the upper floor siding, I think, is a nice one. I definitely think we should be matching colors.
The board colors are not, I like the colors here rather than that. The existing pictures colors are much better, but
Yeah.
I mean,
These don't make sense. So we
That
gotta-
doesn't make sense.
How do you guys feel about pushing the bedroom out on the west elevation?
It would help.
The what?
It would help.
Push the
Fine.
bedroom so that gable came out,
Yeah.
maybe, and then maybe make the window bigger?
Which one,
The
the
west
bathroom or
elevation.
the bedroom?
Bedroom window.
You see, his elevation, he has that line there.
Yeah,
There's
but
no
that's a
line.
score line. It's a score
line,
It's a score
which
line.
I don't like. I mean, I hate those just to justify the roof, whatever he's doing.
It seems
Yeah,
like we
just-
should just do 2 windows for the bedroom.
Maybe he should stick it out like 18 inches,
Yeah, do a cantilever there, maybe
Bump it
do a larger double
if there is
window.
room with square footage.
Yeah, it sounds like we had extra footage.
Then if he bumps it out 18 inches, then he has to revise the roof design too.
No, it's a gable. He's just pushing the gable out. That's a gable. Here, it's right here. You just be extending the gable he has.
That's right here.
He's just extending this gable out.
Oh, that area you're talking
Yeah,
about.
just the area where the
Extend
gable
that one.
showing. Yeah.
Oh, just the bath?
On the north elevation, the upper gable, that would extend out, 18 inches, 2 feet.
So it'll be the master bath and part of the bedroom. You're not saying the whole wall moves out, just the part under the gable moves out.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it doesn't make you're offsetting from the garage too. It's going to be awkward. I wish you could work it out, extend this and redesign. If you take this one out, Mark, and then you're right
Yeah.
sitting above the garage, then it redesign the roof design, the roof layout, and you take it out here. It makes more sense.
Oh, move the gable over. Yeah.
That way you're right on top. You'll give a little shade on top of the garage.
You would take this through then, and
Yeah.
then move the gable over.
Yeah.
I think that will be
Yeah.
better design in my opinion. And then,
The rest of us are real interested in what you're talking about.
We're creating a concept over here. You want to show them what you're doing? Why don't you show them revise the roof plan and show
well,
them?
what we're talking about is just to, if you could extend about 18 inches, the bedroom, the master bedroom, I don't know, this is a master bedroom, yeah. Extend about 18 inch, which goes right over the garage, will give room for, to play with the sidings and the stucco plaster. And then you have to rework, of course, the roof design to
You're
match
saying
that.
pull the roof out, or you're saying?
He's going to rework it, he
reverse
has
the
to
gable?
redesign it.
The gable that's going to the
So-
right would slide down.
Well, wouldn't the gable then simply, that gable over the bedroom project out then?
Yes.
About
Okay.
18 inches,
Okay.
right?
So that, I just want to make sure we're not confused. That wouldn't necessitate redesigning the entire roof, simply moving that front-facing gable out with
Happening
the
is he's got-
bedroom.
He has this ridge coming over.
So you might have to rework this area with the roof.
Yeah, this gable would come through, and then there's that is happening.
Exactly. See it?
This plane comes through. He's just actually flipping what he has right now.
He's
You're just flipping what you
mirroring.
have.
But he can just keep what he has there, because
Just extend it?
just extend it.
So
Problem with
this
extending is it's the bathroom. It's half the
comes
bathroom.
here. Kind of this, what we're doing is bring it here.
Yeah.
It's symmetry. So you'll have this line here.
Yeah.
So we're trying
Oh,
kind of
I
to
see
do.
what you're saying.
See, the
So
problem
that
is
way
the
you
bathroom
have-
Oh, I
and the
see.
bedroom. if
So you
do
have
it
kind
where it
of
is.
Oh, I see.
you bring symmetry right above with the, align with the garage door.
So the whole assembly flips over.
No, the assembly doesn't. Just we.
It's just this right here flips.
it flips the roof. It has to fix it.
This flips. You
Oh,
just-
okay. Okay.
And I'm not
Gotcha.
looking
He takes this
inside,
and
but
flip.
I think that
Sorry,
will
I'm
help.
hiding.
He's
I
putting
see
a
what you're
3'11", 2 sinks and a 3'11".
Right now, you know what he's doing. He's putting a score
Definitely
line.
help.
It's
Right.
a plane.
Yeah.
It doesn't look right.
We did also receive the renderings late.
Yeah.
So we did perceive this as a change in plane and
So it
realized that
doesn't make
when we-
sense. I mean, it wouldn't look, if he sticks it out about 18 inch, will define the garage, he could have room to put some recessed lighting to light up the garage door. It will look more architectural. It makes more sense.
It actually would be a simpler, a cleaner look, because
Cleaner
you're just
look.
going into one form, and
Yeah.
then you're going to go around. Yeah.
And then he'll have a chance to put maybe larger windows.
Yeah.
Maybe another, to add another window for the master bedroom.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. And what do you guys feel about siding on the second floor as opposed to the first floor?
Good idea, because you'll see it
But
from
you'll
the
see it from
street.
front,
You
yeah.
really won't see it.
Okay, do you want the stucco and the siding to match? You guys, what do you think? Should the stucco and the siding match?
I think it should have a contrast.
Contrast?
I think it should match.
Okay.
The truth.
But
But
the
matches
the
to
siding
the-
is matching the front house.
Oh, yes, yes.
Siding is matching the
yes.
front house. What about the stucco for the back house? I'm just asking, what do you guys think?
Well, the color of the front house is all one color. So I'm just saying, if you do stucco and siding on the back house,
Maybe you
two
should do,
colors,
yeah.
it's almost
No,
going
no,
to be
no.
too much.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
We could give them the option of doing all siding.
I just
Or-
Could do all siding.
All siding, what do you mean all siding? The whole,
Give them the option of doing all siding one color or stucco and siding one color, same color.
Okay.
If you guys are comfortable with that.
I have no problem.
Okay, if somebody can, well, actually, let's read back what we have. Whoever was paying attention.
Okay.
Of course.
You could do siding.
The first comment I had was meet with Tom Mitchell in Traffic and Transportation, review the proposed site plan related to traffic maneuvering. The second comment, meet with the fire department regarding access requirements. Third comment is locate trash and recycling area on site plan. The fourth comment, the front facade of the second floor needs to be revised to provide additional interest, and that goes along with what you were just saying. possibly extending the master bedroom approximately 18 inches toward the front of the house.
It's not actually he's not calling it the master, it's a secondary bedroom.
Okay. Second. Okay.
And rework the roof design probably.
Okay, and let me write that down. Rework the roof design accordingly.
But the extension is a gable extension. That's the intent.
Okay. Potentially add siding to the front facade, second floor.
Well, actually, I think, it sounded like we were going to condition that, right?
You want that.
I think we were
Okay.
talking about giving them two options. One which was they could go siding second floor, stucco first floor, same color matching the front house, or they could do the whole thing siding matching the front house.
Okay, so siding on the second story,
North
stucco,
West, yeah.
North elevation.
north elevation.
So,
Elevation.
excuse me, you're suggesting that the siding would be wrapping around the entire second floor, or
Just on the north elevation.
Just the north.
just on the north elevation, just on that projecting piece?
No, the other piece,
Or,
not the projecting piece, maybe the back piece.
Now I would want on the projecting.
You want
That's-
to
You've seen
because
the gable on the other ones.
because if you have, what I would say, the way we would interpret what you're suggesting is that the portion underneath the gable at the north extends 2 feet. 2 feet is the dimension that we heard. And that siding would wrap around that cantilever extension, wrap around that front bit of the gabled, under the gabled portion,
Yeah.
and then wrap around on the west side and stop where that meets the side-facing gable.
Yeah.
And then if that siding were added, the siding that is shown at the entry would remain as it's shown?
Yeah, I don't think there's a problem. I think the intent would be that it all be siding, but I think we're flexible that the remainder of the home could be plaster. Is that correct? How do you feel about that?
So consider siding on the entire house.
Right. But only conditionally the second floor section. Although
So the way the condition can read is that we'll give them those two options. They could either do one or the other, that either the entire house is siding and the garage, and it's all the same color as the front house, or they have the option, still all the same color, but adding siding to the front-facing gable at the north end, that element only. And also, would you expect to see siding on the underside of that cantilever on that soffit?
I don't think that's necessary for me. Unless somebody else
I think it'd
has
be
it.
nice as a finished
I
material.
think it would be nice.
Okay.
Okay, so wrapping it around that entire element. Good. Thanks for the clarification.
Sure.
Let's see. Add a hedge on the third side of the yard for the landscaping.
You mentioned that?
I had mentioned it, but I'm trying to see what it looks like.
Okay, I didn't hear that.
Also, I think there was a general consensus that staff's conditions were okay.
Yes.
And then finally, staff noticed an inconsistency on the plans that we wanted clarification on. On the window trim detail, it says foam molding at sill, and then on the finish, the material and finish, it's a wood exterior windowsill and wood trim. So we actually like the applicant to clarify that and then
I would conditional for the wood trim myself, either wood or a,
Yeah, rather than hearing from the applicant, you can choose to condition that as wood trim. We had read it as wood trim and
yeah.
and
Either wood or
reported it that
composite.
way.
Wood or composite because it's painted to match the front house.
Okay.
Everybody's okay.
We also heard a comment that the window at that bedroom on the north second floor should be larger, and where we didn't hear any comment about the sliding configuration. So should we assume that to enlarge that window in a sliding configuration is okay, or would you like to see a similar size double-hung window underneath that gable or a fixed light?
I think what's probably going to happen is that one now is a bathroom window, so it probably wants to be that high window. What's going to happen, I think, is this projection is going to be a main element sticking out, and you might double that window that's on the left-hand side. And then just go ahead and leave the smaller one. It won't be
Okay, leave the smaller
focus
one
now
as it
because
is.
It won't be a focus because it won't be under the gable. It'll just be a side window, if you guys are okay with that.
And then we heard some differing views about the window sizes.
Actually. Yeah, I'm not sure necessarily now that staff's conditions 3 and 4 are really what you want.
No.
In fact, I heard a couple of people say they didn't have a problem with the window sizes.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem.
I don't necessarily, because I think that's a first floor wall has all the, first floor has it.
So don't include
3 or 4.
3.
Yeah, I think we've addressed both of those.
Okay.
Okay, just to clarify, the concern that we had was that we noticed as you went around the house, the windows seemed to be almost a different scale from one elevation to the next.
Well, I think the other elevations are more successful than the front one, unfortunately,
Yeah.
because it's the garage door and whatnot, so.
But once he revised that, the room above the garage, I think it's going to make a big difference.
Yes, it will.
Okay, and then the south elevation, those windows are all smaller than on the other elevations. Those you're fine with those remaining as shown?
What?
The south elevation windows are smaller than the rest of the windows on the other
So you
3
want-
elevations.
Yeah, but I would be more inclined to make the south ones bigger as opposed to making the west
Well,
one
you can
smaller.
leave them as they are, or you can ask that they be made more consistent with the rest of the elevations.
South
Well,
is
as I look
it's
at-
just a staircase.
Yeah, as you look at the plan, that's a small window because it's in a powder room. And the other one is,
It's in the back.
yeah, the other one's
it's
the
in the
door into the
back.
dining room, so you couldn't really make them
I
bigger.
think they're fine.
Okay.
You're looking at a multi-story
We just wanted to
building.
explain what that condition was about.
Sure. No, I think it would be nicer if they were bigger, but it's a powder room and the other one is a stair, so.
Your view is the multi-family house behind your house. I think it is.
Actually, I spoke with the person that owns
I'm not sure.
the property behind this, and
Well, that's
their
the side.
concern was
Probably
privacy. So
You wouldn't want bigger windows.
they probably would not.
Yeah.
And that was which house? Which?
Oh, behind. I was
Behind.
looking at the side.
Behind.
Directly
Yeah.
behind?
Yeah.
Is it a single family, single story?
Offhand, this was a couple weeks ago when I talked to this person. I think it's a multifamily.
Yeah, it's
I
multifamily.
was thinking of this building on the side.
Yeah, the windows on that back side, even on the second floor, is just a stair, basically, in the stair hall, so.
Oh, it's the same multi. I mean, contact.
I think we're okay on that.
Do you have any other comments?
Someone want to make a motion?
I move to approve the
motion
project
for-
with all of the conditions that
You guys want
staff
to
has
do
written down.
What do you want?
Well,
Do you want to read them back to
Do we
us, or
mention, we mentioned which were conditions and which
with-
were
consideration?
considerations?
Yeah, I think we have that.
Difference, okay.
So
Those are
if we have all these conditions, can we approve it that way, or we need to see it again? What do you think, Alan?
Staff is comfortable with our list? Okay.
Okay. So I move to approve with the
Yep.
conditions and considerations as noted by staff.
Get a second for that?
What was that?
I move to approve with the conditions and considerations as noted by staff. All the things that he read off earlier.
Yes. You could go along with that?
Do you want to read them off again, or do you want to?
Just
Think about it. Can we have it
to
like
clarify, maybe Roger should just at least go over which are considerations and which are conditions, since that may not be entirely clear.
One question. If, let's say, the fire department says you can do that, what are we going? What happens?
Well, if in fact the fire department says no,
I mean,
the whole project, and it would require a
So
whole
it
new
doesn't make
redesign, it would have to come back here.
So it doesn't make sense for us to approve with the conditions when there's two pending.
No, what we would suggest is that condition says would read something like, and Roger has the precise language, but it would read that if there are substantial changes based on fire requirements or traffic requirements, any substantial modifications in the design and in the massing would require it to return to the design review board.
Okay,
That would be in the condition.
then I will second it.
Okay, here we go.
If we have some kind of.
Okay, a motion was made to approve the project with conditions. This will be a roll call. Ms. Sakai?
Yes.
Mr. Baladian?
Yes.
Mr. Malikian?
No.
And Mr. Garagos?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-1. Thanks.
I just think there's too many for us to.
Okay, we are moving on
Right.
to 2 PDR 2010-005-A, 666 Glendale Terrace.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Good evening. This is, as you stated, 666 Glendale Terrace. It is located in the R1R zone, restricted residential zone, floor area ratio District 1. The site is currently developed with a one-story, 2,260 square foot single-family house with an attached 420 square foot garage. The plans are located on the panel towards your left. There we go.
Already done.
No, that's just a very nice rendering.
That looks like it's done.
Yeah, there you go.
Continuing on, the proposal involves adding a new approximately 598 square foot second story addition with a 111 square foot balcony above the new garage. Or excuse me, let me rephrase that, above the existing garage. The addition is designed as a partial second story. The total floor area for the house, once the addition is complete, will be 2,858 approximately square feet. The proposed colors, materials for the addition will match the existing house, and that would include, for example, the roof, the stucco color and finish, and the windows, with the exception of the siding, which is proposed to be hardy plank. However, it is proposed to blend with the existing siding on the house, which is wood siding. The house is not designated as a historic home on the local, national, or state register, so therefore it is exempt from CEQA review. It is located in the Oak Ridge neighborhood, which is characterized by Spanish colonial revival and period homes. However, in this particular area of the neighborhood, it is predominantly ranch-style homes, as noted in the photos, and if you've driven through the neighborhood, you can actually appreciate that. Typically, homes in this neighborhood are modest in size, ranging from 1,400 square feet to 2,000 square feet, one story in height, with the exception of actually a couple of homes on that immediate street block, which are 2 stories in height. As far as the site planning is concerned, as noted in the report, the addition is appropriately located on the site. The existing site plan conditions will be maintained and is therefore consistent with the general neighborhood pattern. The slope of the property runs in a north to south direction. The addition is located and configured facing the street, which reflects the slope of the street and is still lower than the property to the east. The new terrace on the addition facing the street is light in appearance and will not impact the northerly neighbor's privacy. Reducing the apparent mass, in this case, the way the applicant has accomplished it has been in several ways, and that includes designing the building and locating the addition and the use of the balcony, which complements the existing house. And again, what benefits this in this case, the addition would be the topography. Again, it runs in north-south direction, so therefore the house as existing is stepped up, or in this case, set back from the street, the main form of the house, and then in addition to that, the existing garage is set back even further compared to the rest of the house. And again, the addition is located above that further setback form, which would be the garage. So therefore, the addition of the new second floor is relatively modest and will adequately fit the existing site and floor plan conditions. As stated, the existing front setback will be maintained, and the proposal results in the addition of 2 feet above the existing 22-foot height. As previously indicated, the second floor addition is designed as a partial second story above the existing garage, and this portion of the house is currently stepped back further compared to the rest of the house, and therefore the addition will also be set back from this central form and the street. Overall, the project's mass and scale is in keeping with the neighborhood. As far as the design in detail, I alluded to earlier, again, they are proposing to match colors and materials with the existing house, with the exception of the siding, which is proposed to be hardy plank, but again, is proposed to blend with the existing wood siding. And the fenestration that they're proposing, aluminum-clad wood, I believe the existing has aluminum. However, again, it will be proposed to match existing style and color. We have met with the applicant on several occasions, so we do want to mention that. So it has been, as you can see, the existing design of the house has been quite a challenge in order to propose, or in this case, meet the needs of the owner. The applicant's goal, again, has been to find a solution that respects the massing and works well with the neighboring properties, and again, respects, again, the privacy of those neighboring properties. The comments made by staff, as noted, were addressed and incorporated in the design, and so therefore it was determined by staff that the recommendation to the board would be to approve the project proposal because it is compatible with the design guidelines and the overall neighborhood context. There were some conditions, as noted in your staff report. One of them was to consider extending the rear garage wall 3 feet in order to avoid the use of supporting posts or columns on the second floor. And that came about, as you can see on the south elevation. Their staff does have, as noted in the report, does have some concerns regarding how the rear addition.
What was that again? I'm sorry.
The rear elevation as viewed.
Okay.
That area, exactly, of how it integrates with the existing. We still felt that this area needs to be exactly resolved further. And regarding the consideration that we included in the report about the cantilever and the supporting columns, the way it's proposed, they're somewhat slender, the posts, which we felt was a little out of context with the addition. So in order to avoid this cantilever, we thought maybe, for example, considering expanding that garage approximately 3 feet in order to avoid the use of these posts / columns and avoid that cantilever. Does that make sense now? Mm-hmm. The second comment, and again, I just briefly touched upon it, again, was to revise the transition between the second floor addition and the existing building at the rear. So that's where that comment comes in. And lastly, clearly identify the trash area location on the site plan. That concludes staff presentation. If you have any questions, I'm available.
Thank you, Mocha. Any questions for staff?
Yes. Do we have any material as far as the front entrance door? I know they're replacing that, and the garage door.
No, I don't have material besides the photo
Photo
of the house. Which
existing house.
Yeah, exactly,
Because
which
it
is
looks like
being
they're
passed around.
replacing. It looks like they're replacing the entrance door.
Not to my knowledge, but unless it wasn't drawn accurately on the plan. However, my understanding is that they are not
They're not?
changing the
No?
existing front door, and that will remain as is.
Looks like they're working on the. How about the garage door?
No.
No.
Back end, the living.
How about railing design? Is it glass or is it glass?
That is, glass railing is for the new terrace on the second floor.
Any other
Do we
questions?
have pictures? Do we have any pictures of the existing garage?
Yes, it's being passed around.
All right. Sorry, you're kidding me.
See context?
Yeah, let me see that. Let me see.
Any other questions for staff? Hearing none. Now, I'm going to say the Cajun spelling is the quiet T, right? So is it Ferjot? Okay, please. State your name and your address.
Good evening. My name is George Furchtgott, 4871 Wicopee Street, Los Angeles, 941. And I'm the architect for the project, the applicant. I don't have anything to add to what Milka said. She did my job for me. So everything is pretty much the way she explained it. And I'm available for questions. We are not changing the doors, for the record. All the materials are exactly as they are. The house is a very nice, it's in very nice condition, well painted and maintained, well landscaped, and we're going to keep everything intact. And we've tried over many, many meetings with staff, and they've been very, very helpful to achieve this step up to this point. So we feel that the project is exactly what Milka described, in keeping with the neighborhood, and as minimized in terms of mass as we could accomplish.
I have a question. And I was thinking it may have been just a graphic mistake, but it actually shows up on your very nice perspective. The roof right beside, this seems odd to me, and I'm just wondering what your idea was. How come this piece is coming over here? Why isn't it stopping at the...
Well, because then it would create a more chopped up look. So we are extending that to...
You're not taking it all the way to the roof, though.
No. It's only an overhang.
How much is your overhang? It's pretty long.
That's the whole balcony.
Is the width of the balcony.
How come we didn't take it all the way to the main roof?
Because what we tried to do, as you can see on this elevation here, on the front elevation, we created a new roof shape as a connection between the addition to the existing, and we didn't. It was done to reduce the volume, and this was worked out with staff. They didn't want us to make the building look big, which we agreed. If we had continued that, it would have looked more massive. So we dropped that section in between the addition and the main gable.
Well, I was actually thinking if it only limited itself to that balcony and then not cantilever to the left,
yeah,
it
would then have a jog, and it would look a little bit more chopped up.
Well, I have a question, another question.
Chopped.
On the east elevation, how did you derive to that design and the reason having that
upper portion flat?
The reason for that is because we try to stay within the height of the,
And that was your best solution?
that was the best solution because we're trying to maintain the pitch to be equal on all sides. If I drop that pitch, I could do that. I could do a full gable, but it would look a little different.
Well,
And also
But
on
you
the,
already have a, you already have a condition.
we already have,
You already have this.
well, that's
condition.
going to go away.
No, I understand, but you have an existing condition that you have here, you have over here, so you could have continued the same pitch, and at the ends, just bend it to carry the same kind of a detail, and rather than having this flat chopped off area, so you come in and then you bend it out, that's consistent.
it's kind of, I'm not buying that design.
Okay.
It's a problem right there.
Actually, if you look at the, right next to it, there is a sunroom, which is the one with skylights. It has the same shape.
Right.
Shape what?
The same shape as a chopped a gable, as a cut-up gable.
Yeah, but it's
It's a hip roof, basically.
it's a hip roof,
It's a hip
but the other one you have a flat roof.
No, it's not a hip roof. If you look at you can look at the picture of the rear of the
With
building.
the skylights, you're not calling that a hip roof?
This is not,
That's not the
Okay,
same.
that is,
Yeah, that's a hip
okay,
roof.
that one is a hip roof, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm saying you could have done a hip roof and back, since it's the upper level and back.
We could have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
this
possible.
is not the same roof that design that you're proposing on the
You're
addition.
right. Yeah,
It's not. I'm right.
you're right.
Yeah. Okay.
And is there ultimately going to be a cricket or something that's going to happen back in there?
There will be the reason we left that little gap so that we could actually shed the water out from this sloping portion.
Okay, any other questions for the applicant?
I had a question on the back, where you had the existing floor plan behind the garage. There was an existing covered patio there.
That's the picture that, it has some posts, and that's the picture that you were talking about, Mr. Malakian was talking about the changed gable. That's as a covered porch.
You show them that
See
right
that
there.
picture? Back is actually- So is that area behind the garage
Right there.
a usable space?
Well,
Okay.
it's, where they
Paved
keep,
and
yeah, it's paved, and it's
there's
where
some
they
nice
keep
columns.
their barbecue and stuff like that.
You're recommending
We're
keeping
recommending to keep that
columns,
and
but you're
keep
just
the
gonna
columns where they are.
flatten it out.
Exactly. Staff is recommended to eliminate those posts by moving that wall, the garage wall, back a little bit.
Take this wall, move it out
The
this
cantilever,
way.
yeah.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that columns. I mean, it doesn't, it's a,
Yeah, I think these columns look beefier than the ones you're showing in your drawing.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could spend some water. but,
what? I don't know. Anyway.
Okay. Any other questions for applicant? That's it. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay,
Should I go?
Jean-Pierre's going to go first, so that he can't complain.
I wish you have a little bit more information on your plans. Direction north, south. I mean, it took us a while. I mean, you start one direction, keep it legend between what proposed and new, legend like new walls and existing walls and all that. Beside that, I'm going to go straight to the comment. I don't have problem with the addition. I kind of like the colors and all. The color scheme. But a few things I wish you had. A lot of the answers answered. I like the glass railing. It gives a kind of a contemporary look with the modern ranch, whatever you're trying to achieve. I don't have a problem with the columns in the back. I don't know where we're going to achieve by extending the garage. I don't know if my colleagues will. I don't have a problem with that, but I do have a problem with the roof design you came up with, the flat. I don't think so. It's flying. I don't think so. It's a good design.
Which one?
Just, yeah. I mean, I never seen it done before. I think you're asking for problems later on. I would revisit that and gable it. I don't mind. I mean, if it's a different pitch or not, at least it's clean cut done. It's in the back. You don't have to worry about it.
You can comment at the end. You can comment at the end.
I'm not buying that roof design over it's. I don't think it makes sense. The side north elevation, I'm okay. South elevation, there's nothing. But then we'll discuss about the bricks. I guess they're not doing anything with the front entrance door. I got the answer. Pretty much that's it. That's my comments.
I also want to say that the drawings were a bit difficult to read. You know, some don't have doors on them. You don't know which way they're swinging. The door's swinging in or out. If there's a door there or not from the existing to the new. But I would like to say your elevation drawings, the colored elevations, are very nicely done and give a lot of information about what it's going to look like. And so it's very easy to understand the drawings based on the elevations. I also don't have a problem with the posts for the cantilever in the back, the rear, the garage. I think if you enclose it, it doesn't really give you more the open space feeling that you have right now. And the posts that you're proposing that are existing are actually beefier than the ones you're showing in your drawing. So I think that was the problem, is that the posts look very skinny and like little toothpicks, and we don't want that because it's not the right look of this house. So keep it substantial, and I think having the posts that you have currently is the right way of going. I noticed that on the floor plan, I'm not sure if this window went away or what happens on the which elevation? The east elevation. You're showing a window on the first floor that's kind of looks into the staircase. That window is not showing on the elevation. I'm not sure if that's going away. It's going to be kind of tucked between where the post is and your break in the wall. So I think I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that when you were up here. I think that overall the addition works, massing-wise works for me. Also, back in the east elevation, the two windows in the back, to me they're different. It kind of seems like it's so symmetrical that maybe they should become symmetrical windows, but they're different purposes. So I kind of just wondered if anybody else had a question or had an issue with those windows being different. The bathroom is I guess it's a fixed window. It seems like you'd want that to be operable as well. So that became operable, matching I think it's a bedroom window, or maybe I have it reversed.
The bathroom's fixed, yeah.
Yeah, the bathroom's fixed. So I just think that maybe that wants to match the bedroom. And I also had the thing with the roof. It's very clear in the mock-up that it seems like you're creating this dark corner behind that little pocket area. And I would recommend that you do chop it off and make the balcony roof, and then bring it back to the house.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it for me.
I like the addition. I want to start off right there. I think it's a very. I'm glad that you brought the rendering because it gives a much better feel of how this thing is going to be attached. There are certain things that, with all due respect, I disagree with staff and your proposal. Which one of them is the almost 7-foot cantilever of the roof rafters that are coming out. I think I understand what you're saying to carry the roof itself, but I think you're only going to see that if you're standing right in front, in a higher elevation that you're looking at exactly in the front elevation. I think the perspective gives a very good understanding of what you're actually going to see. And you're going to see this 7-8 foot, almost about 40-50 square feet of roof structure that is just floating in the air and just suspended. I'm not sure if the roof rafters are even going to carry that kind of a cantilever, so you may end up having a deeper roof rafters there than the rest of the stuff. So I think by pushing that back, you're going to start representing that front addition, which is, I think it's a gem. I think it's really nice. I think that you wanted to present. pushing that back, you have the volume. You may even want to pull the wall forward. That may be another solution, that you don't have as big as a cantilever. So that may be a solution there. But I definitely think that cantilever roof section needs to be addressed somehow. The second thing is, I like the simple glass railing that you've proposed, but I think the existing house is beautiful, and I love the ranch style and a lot of the details that are incorporated into the ranch style, meaning that the post and beam and other conditions. So I think you have created yourself conditions that you can kind of take from there and then do your interpretation of the modern feature of that. Meaning, if you have the column and the beam that are supporting the roof of the balcony, why does it have to be wrapped with plaster? Why can't it be a detailed feature on its own that represents the glass railing? You want it to be a very minimal, clean look. But if you wrap everything with plaster, then you're taking away from that rich architecture that you're dealing with right now. So I think you want to introduce some of the post and beam details that I think you have a very good opportunity there to do so. Coming around the back area, I agree with the staff, and I agree that the columns are slender. I think one option is what staff is proposing, to pull the garage back enough that you can carry the cantilever over. I think the other option is to do the same thing, what I'm proposing for you to do in the front, where use a beam, use the actual post, beef up the post a little bit, and have it be a substantial post and beam detail there. I think that detail can be carried over, and I saw it in the photos in the back. You have conditions there that I think you can utilize. You can use that as to your benefit. I think the other issue that I have, as Mr. Jean-Pierre had, was the flat roof itself. I think there's a couple other options there that I think I would like you to look at, and maybe that at the end it may not be the right solution. One option I think we can study, I think right now, I'm not sure if you guys agree that this is really a detail that it's not there. I mean, everywhere else that you look at, you have conditions that are kind of come together, somehow work. But this one, it's like, what happened? You run out of ink or something. So one solution is to create a hip roof that starts from this end and comes straight across. You have very large roof area. You're going to have the same roof area that is there. So that's one option there. From this side, obviously you're going to have this, and the plaster is going to go up, and I'm not sure how to address that, and Mr. Geragos may have some solutions for that. But I think the other option is to carry the gable, is to carry the hip roof, and then where you have the window, you bring that and create another, like a California frame or something that brings that and sits on top of that. So you create a kind of a condition that you have a roof, and then you have this, and then you have the siding in front of that. So you created a volume there that it carries. I don't have a marker. I could try on this. But that may bring that effect of this condition and that and this. So it starts introducing the same detail, and it brings that over. Unless you do something completely different. Unless you come and say, you know what, I want this thing to be completely different, like staff is having an issue with this. I understand why they're having an issue, because you're creating a wall against a sloping roof. And that detail itself, and then you ended up building this large cricket there, or large element there to kind of carry the water down, but you're still creating a wall against this. So I think if we start addressing this somehow, that it works in the same architecture as the rest of the building, I think that will definitely help. But overall, I really like it. I think it's a nice design. I think it's a very modest addition. But I think these couple of elements that are here, this and some of the details that you've introduced, wrapping the columns with plaster, I think those definitely will benefit, the architecture will benefit.
May I add something to when you're done? I mean, the only reason I asked, go back a little bit, why I asked for the garage door and entrance door, because I got excited because I really liked the glass railing, and I was wishing that something will complement that glass railing, because you have this whole thing. I was wishing that you would propose that you would have a combo glass door, a new glass entrance door that will complement your contemporary and the entrance door, and then maybe the garage door, maybe perhaps you'll have kind of contemporary frosted glass type, Anaheim doors, those stainless steel doors that will complement something to that railing. We'll give you the chance. So that was the reason I was asking at the beginning to the staff, do we have, I was excited to see something. So probably that's for you to your client, maybe you should consider to propose a new garage door with the glass frosted and a new entrance door to complement the glass railing. That's what I meant. Thank you.
Okay. Mine actually I'm glad you guys spoke because it gave me time to collect my thoughts. I think there's some solutions to this. I think it would be helpful. The issue for me is that the balcony is wider than the building, which I think is unnecessary, and I don't think that is successful. But then what dawned on me, what the real issue is that this is where he's setting the ridge, which doesn't need to be. I mean, this is that sort of vernacular ranch kind of style. This should be its own little roof that's off angle, like this has been repitched. If you look on the existing, this has a broken pitch over the laundry room now that's at a lower pitch. That ought to be at a lower pitch, like it's a little balcony piece with a lower pitch. So if you did that, you're then springing from this point up, and then maybe that is where the extension pops out. That lets you push the balcony back and break pitch for it, accentuating it, and hopefully bringing it back from this wall. So hopefully it's at this plane here, and then the pop out is just here, which again brings the ridge back, which alleviates the issue in back, and then we could do a hip and back that I think would be a fairly close pitch to what is required, and I think that would help minimize all the issues I have. So I don't know how you guys feel about that. So then that balcony becomes its own little thing.
I think these are definitely great options. I think it definitely solves that flat roof issue there.
The balcony I did have an issue with the balcony going beyond the garage, because it does seem like a lot of openness up there. And it's very it's contemporary compared to the rest of the house, very open and contemporary. The rest of the house isn't, the front of the house isn't quite so much, so that does help that problem. The other problem I have is a window in the north elevation seems so close to the bump out wall. Now you don't have that issue anymore because you're putting more wall next to it.
I know you're chomping at the bit. Please come up. Please come up.
We're going to redesign the whole thing for you.
I did want to make a comment that I take all your comments very well, and there are many good suggestions, I think, very productive. Somebody made a comment of making this into a hip. I think it was Mr. Palladian. And I think that can work in the back. If we take the shape that the sunroom, if you see with the skylights, and repeat that shape, and you can look at that in the rear picture. Mm-hmm. Repeat that shape over that pop out. Right. I think that would be one good solution. And you might
You're the master.
That. No, I'm at your mercy.
No, it's not my mercy. No. You're the master.
But I think that is a good solution. The long overhang on the top, and I think somebody mentioned pulling the wall forward. We could pull that wall forward. I do like the shape. I do like the length of the addition because it gives it more horizontality. And by cutting that.
I just have, my issue is the point that the roof comes, it feels like an addition. It feels like it's been a mistake there. I just don't like that pointing coming down
And I agree
very
with you.
close to the existing roof. It's either it needs to touch it or it needs to stay away enough from it that represents that it's just, I think it's just not there.
If the wall was
My
pulled
suggestion
forward.
would be is,
Yeah.
even if you pull the wall, I think the roof needs to go back in again.
rather
But what
than-
it'll do is, when you move the wall forward, you will have the consistent roof rafter size.
Yeah, but
But if you carry that over, basically, either the roof needs to shift, or you will see those rafters that are coming out, they're gonna get larger, because you're gonna cantilever that thing 7-8 feet out. and
I
it's
don't know
not
if
gonna
you
happen.
want to do that, because
But
it's going to
that's
be...
what I'm saying. So I think if you pull it back enough that you carry the same rafter ends, tail ends, I think that would be great. And also, it would be nice to see that the beam and the post for the balcony that are literally being used as the beam for the rafters that are going to cantilever over. So that detail, I think, comes in, and it starts playing with the architecture, and then nice glass railing. I think the contrast of the wood details versus the glass detail, I think it's going to be really interesting.
I like the idea of exposing the wood rather than stuccoing it. I like that idea. I think in a way it's a little bit competing with going into a modern vein, like we go, and we were just looking at each other.
It's definitely going towards the modern.
Yeah, I mean, the whole house has
It is,
vertical board
and that's
batten.
what
I mean,
we're
it'd be nice
trying
have
to
the wood on
go.
it.
And I think your suggestion of putting a more modern door and entry door, I was just looking at my client, and she likes that. Without talking to her, I know her so well by now that I know she would agree to something like that. She
I'm
would
not
like
sure
that.
that's a recommendation.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
So, yeah,
Thank you.
We're very happy to look at all these options.
Okay, thank you very much.
I think before you go on, there seems to be some agreement with the board, and we just would like to clarify what's been said until this point. When we're talking about moving a wall forward or pushing the balcony back, we're referring to the balcony that's projecting above the garage, correct?
I was saying move the ridge that's on the north elevation back.
So there are two things being discussed right now.
Two different things.
One is to, and I think I understand, Chair Garregos, your recommendation to shift the entire ridge back and then have a break where the balcony starts and change the slope there, not to a flat roof, but to a more shallow pitch above that balcony.
To accentuate the valley. Yeah.
To accentuate the valley and to potentially incorporate the bedroom element that's right now an unusual roofing configuration, to incorporate that as a hip going back.
Right, because the pitch would be easier because the ridge is moving back 6
Right.
feet.
There's, I think, another suggestion that I'm trying to have a sense of understanding about from Board Member Malekian, that I think you were talking about the roof over the balcony is extending a little too far. Did I get that right?
Yeah, get the more.
This area, I think,
Okay.
it's just, this area is cantilevered out without any columns or anything. This is 6 feet out.
Okay,
For
so
a roof rafter of the same size to carry over and sit on this.
I see.
4x, but
So rather than carry the roof over
what I
to
was
cut
saying
the
is
roof,
cut
I
this
see.
back,
I see.
Or if he's going to move this forward, pull this back a little bit. This point right there, when you look at the rendering, when you look at I just have a problem with this little point there.
That makes sense, and again,
move the roof back,
yeah.
You look at the elevation, this picture, imagine the garage, lift this roof up.
Yeah.
You just see it.
Right.
The existing
Pull that
roof.
back, I think it'll work out.
I think now we understand what you're talking about, and, unfortunately, we didn't have the advantage of the rendering when we
But
were
Alan is
reviewing the
the
project.
talking is, imagine take this roof.
Hey, hold on a second. Hold on.
That we understand,
discuss it,
and
sorry. Yeah,
then...
we'll discuss it,
And then to pull the roof, in addition, to pull the balcony back so that it aligns with the garage, the entire balcony there.
Is this what you wanted?
Yes.
Pulling this back,
Exactly,
creating
so that this ends up as a separate element. So this roof now goes from here, not from here.
Right. Is this
See it? Here, one mark it.
Okay.
Rather than the
balcony
roof pitching from
posts,
here.
Wood, right?
Rather than roof pitching from here up, it's going to pitch from here up, and then
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
I kind of
Yeah.
like this to be like maybe.
No.
No.
Let me finish it.
No, you can't lock it.
We already got 3 against it. We're moving on.
Now he's the boss.
Mark in there.
I'm not going to give you my mark.
Mr. Malekian, if you would pass that sketch to Ms. Toledo.
Yeah, I will.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Please state your case.
You want to move the wall forward?
Please state your case.
I'm going to dig.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, forget it. Forget it.
Being flippant, I apologize.
I'm being abused here.
Would you like Ms. Toledo to start reading back the conditions so far?
Can I make one other recommendation?
Yes.
If you think of that piece that would be a projection on the north elevation, if you actually extended it on the other side, that could be an element that could start to attach the addition to the existing house.
Extend it on which other side?
See, if you actually took that element that's here, that's going to project, okay, rather than projection being here, the projection be here, so that it springs off the wall, okay? If you took this element right through onto the other side,
Stairway?
here, you then have a wall piece right in here and a roof section coming over, which might help to connect the new and old.
The challenge that I thought the architect was facing there was that the addition is slightly taller than the existing
height.
ridge. Yeah, so that I
I don't see that as a
think.
negative, and maybe we should talk about that. I don't think it's a negative that the roof comes over and attaches, just, as a clean line. We should probably talk about
Yeah, I think that, and we may have advised them to hold it off from the ridge if they were not at the same height. So I don't, we've met several times with the applicant, and I don't quite remember what we advised him, and so wanted to try to be transparent about that.
I'd rather see it.
Okay, how do you guys feel about it matching? That rich
You're
one?
almost there, almost there.
I'm trying to explain to him your thought on the sketch-wise, but
Okay.
he has a problem with
Are you
it.
clear on that?
That one, but you're saying you want to take the
80
roof all the way over to the...
How do you feel about that
I
connecting?
think once you
as
start
a means of
cutting it
connecting?
back, because it's now the balcony has its own little roof, and then you have the roof behind it.
But do you like it, do you think it should attach to the existing roof as a means of laying it, bringing the whole thing together? Do you think this should come over? Do you think this should come over?
Yeah, but it'll be higher than the point. I think that'd be weird
Okay. It's the same
It
height,
was-
it's the same height.
as the point.
I don't think so.
I'm 80% convinced.
Okay, that's pretty
It
good.
was 75%.
I was being nice.
I
mean-
always 50-50.
I agree with you with this, but when you come at this portion where the balcony is, doing this, I think you will lose. I kind of like the rendering he has. I think once you start doing this, you're going to lose that look, that simplicity look. It becomes this. I'd rather see like a trellis beam.
I think that's traditional to the style.
Again, we really appreciate the collegial feel up here, but we really need to understand, this is a public meeting, we all need to understand what you're talking about.
Can we see this? Can we zoom in on that?
Well, the question is
Here
if
we
the
go.
balcony has a roof, or if
Okay.
it's trellis or some other
Right.
flat piece.
The question is whether we break the pitch.
Zoom.
Zoom. Which way are we going? There we go.
Rotate.
Here we go.
Yes, we understood the breaking the
Break the
pitch, very
Or
good.
not. Or not. And
Thank
I
you,
think breaking the pitch is
GTV6.
a character.
Thank you.
Very good job.
What happened?
He's done with us. He gave us the
So
cue.
that's the,
He gave us the hook.
Or- Wait,
It's up to the
break the pitch or what was,
Create a trellis type
Or-
of a structure. That what you were saying? You wanted to do like wood
Trellis.
trellis that goes into the
Let's
post.
do dissimilar.
yeah, and just
This happens.
since,
I like that design. I like
Which
that
one?
design. I like.
Yeah, I do like that.
I like it. I just have the issue with that corner, but the rest of it's fine. But I think to do what Mr. Garrigo's saying is to do this, to bring this pitch, the ridge of this is going to go a lot higher. So definitely we're going to have an issue here.
No, I'm saying just say width, whatever that width is, just slide it over.
Yeah, but then what do you do with the roof of
You're
this?
breaking the pitch.
then it will lose that simplicity. That's the only thing
Okay.
I'm not convinced.
All right, you're not convinced. How do you feel about it going wider than the garage, which is my issue? That it's wider than the garage. That the balcony is wider than the garage.
That's, I don't have a problem with that.
Wow, easy breezy all of a sudden. Okay. Okay.
Well, the sketch that I interpret what you were talking about does show the.
I like everything except for this extension there.
Okay, I
I'm
think
not
the
confident.
style-
I would rather see the trellis type there than having that another roof line going, or have a straight line, or a straight clean roof line.
Within the style, there's different pitches.
No, I know. How come?
Okay.
Why don't we go this way?
Why don't we leave it to the
The
architect?
architect, yeah.
Let him decide.
Well, I mean, I think a couple things you have to
Give him some
decide.
options.
Are we agreed or not that the balcony should stop at the garage? Or should it go wider than the garage on the west elevation? That bothers me.
How
If
much
it doesn't bother
wider?
anybody else, obviously I don't have enough.
Wider to where?
It should at least stop at the
No,
garage.
I like
and
that
the
one.
extension go past.
Make it wider.
I like it wider. It gives a.
Okay, I'm outnumbered. Okay.
Sketch that I
Either way,
shows
I
that
think
in, but
there it
we
seems
all
like
like
it's.
it wider. So.
I like it the way
doesn't
the
bother me
architect
there.
has
It
it.
bothers me because it's just too much open and it's sitting on top of the garage.
It breaks out of the box. I like
This
it.
rendering
But-
is incredible. It tells a lot,
Tells a lot.
about this. So I'm glad
But-
that you brought that over. So
It's almost like a contemporary piece on top of this ranch style house.
That rendering is selling the project.
You bring it in a little bit, it's not so this contemporary piece on top of a ranch style box. It's part of the ranch style box.
right.
Okay, let's pull this to recommendations. What do we say? You had a question about the 7-foot cantilever on the right-hand side. Are we saying get rid of it or do something to ameliorate it? You don't want to see that happen again?
I just don't want that cantilever. Even if he pulls the wall out enough that it will carry the cantilever, I think the distance from the corner of that roof to the existing roof, that space needs to increase. So somehow that section needs to get pulled back. Therefore, it's going to kind of accentuate the section of the balcony itself. So
but that will then cut back just at the balcony, and we're not talking about reducing the, so.
I think, but visually, I think you're going to have a nice step up towards the existing roof.
Can I just ask a favor of you? If you can please tell me exactly how you would like it worded, instead of me trying to kind of guess how to do it, because I wasn't able to see the plan.
I think I can try to, let me try to interpret what we've heard, and then you can correct me.
Okay.
I know you like to do that. So, what we heard is regarding the roof design, there appeared to be agreement to, on the what I'm going to call the side-facing gable cantilever portion that currently includes the deck, to shift that ridge back to the rear of the house, have a break in that roof so that the ridge does not go higher than it currently is.
I'll stop you there. That was my idea, and they aren't on board with that. They actually want to leave the pitch over the porch as is.
Well, I like your idea.
I actually thought there was a 3-to-1 on that.
Is there a 3-to-1 on that? That's good. I'm happy about that. Okay. I thought we were on board with
So
that. Okay, I'm sorry. going, keep going. I apologize.
And where there's also a 3-to-1.
Okay, I apologize. Sorry.
In favor of extending the balcony and the enclosed form beyond the garage. That would be
Not extending,
It's
just
currently-
leaving it where it
As
is. Leaving it where it is and not cutting it back. Then on the...
That's 3-to-1 too.
That's 3-to-1 too. So 3 is a quorum, so we like that.
I'm the one on that one, okay.
You're losing on that one.
Right. So nobody loses here. So then at the south portion of the addition on the second floor, there seems to be agreement, perhaps consensus, on cutting back the roof extension that is extending over that area of balcony where there's no balcony. So cutting back the roof to more closely mirror what's happening in the floor plan. And at the rear, once that cantilever portion, once the ridge line is shifted back, then a hip roof at the rear can be composed, or the gable with a different pitch than.
Not really.
Well, with a potentially a different pitch
would have to be
than
different.
the
It would have to
other roofs.
Not
So
really, because what we're doing is we're moving the ridge line back, right?
Doesn't matter, the span is still the same.
the span will still be the same
Span's still the same.
on that rear-facing gable.
It doesn't change this, it doesn't take the span. It doesn't change it.
So it's either a hip, or if it turns into a rear-facing gable that's not chopped off, it would then be a slightly different pitch than the roofs on the rest of the house.
Yeah, I would prefer that it was a hip then, rather than it being so dissimilar, but. at least
So
it
if
was
there's agreement that it becomes a hip, or if you'd like to provide flexibility to the architect as he moves these pieces around, it's your choice.
I think his idea was the same as the sunroom, where it kind of
Which is a hip
ends-
roof, which is a sunroom. I think
Yeah.
there's similarity there.
We could
Let's
we could
leave it
use
for the
that.
architect to.
Okay,
Yes,
so
I think it has
we'll
enough-
put that option for how to deal with the resolution of the roof at the rear,
Yeah.
and we'll put in those two alternatives to consider, but it will be a condition to change the roof in some way. And so then what's left of the staff recommendations is simply to identify the trash area on the site plan. One thing that we're not sure we have agreement on, that we've heard from Board Member Malekian a couple of times, is Mr. Malekian is suggesting, and it seemed that he was suggesting as a condition, that the columns and that all of the elements of post and beam, especially in the front porch, be exposed as wood rather than wrapped in plaster.
That should be a condition.
So it
And sized appropriately, in proportion.
and sized appropriately for the structure and proportional design. So we feel comfortable to work with the architect on that point,
I'll just add.
on all those points.
Yeah, but then you got the flat roof section. Let me just ask, I'll throw in one last thing. There is a lot of board and batten on the front of the house. Do you want to see any of that brought into the addition on the front? Is that important or not?
No.
Is that
Well,
important
there's
to anybody?
stucco here too. So I think it kind of, it's just the pop-out area.
Focus center?
Yeah,
Okay.
focus in the center.
Okay, very
I think it
good.
doesn't, it's not an issue.
Sure, if you can quickly, please.
You need to talk
You need to
into the
come
mic.
forward. You need to come forward.
Mr. Garagos had mentioned about connecting the roof to resolve that back problem. The owner would like to speak to that effect, because she prefers that option too.
You like it connected?
Yeah.
I think it would be helpful. Okay. I made somebody happy today.
Okay, then in
I think it
that
makes it
case,
more
can you
successful.
explain again one more time, let me understand.
Okay,
that.
so if I can, Mr. Garagos, if I can repeat back, because we need to get this. The roof portion on the second floor bedroom, and not the roof portion over the balcony, but the roof portion on the second floor bedroom, that side-facing gable, the recommendation is to connect that to the front-facing gable, to extend that south end of it to the front-facing gable, even if there are different ridge heights. Is that correct?
No. I think we're unclear about one thing.
Same ridge height.
Okay, let's just get clear on this one thing. I don't
It's
wanna
the same ridge height.
It's the same height. It's the same height.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's not drawn the same height.
It's higher.
The intent was the same height.
It is the same height.
The same height. Okay. All right, this is what I think we're unclear on. Just look at clear on it. My idea was that we break pitch for the porch. Are we saying don't break pitch? You don't want to break pitch?
Well, I like,
It was 3-1.
You're okay with the break pitch? Okay. In that case, we're taking the same dimension and we're just shifting it here.
Right.
Okay, we break the pitch for that. This element is going to transmit all the way through to the house. So now this roof, which is back at the wall, it's not cantilever anymore, is going to extend all the way to the roof.
So what is going to happen here?
There's a
This
little
wall
piece
is
of
going to
wall.
continue.
Just a little piece of wall that's coming over.
Right.
okay. And so you're saying that this, even though this looks like it's higher than this, it's really that point.
It is the same.
Yes,
height.
same height.
So you're
same
taking
height.
it all the way from here?
Yeah.
This roof right here,
You're taking it from here,
Right.
this roof right here is going to go all the way onto
all
it.
the way here, to this ridge?
Yes, yes.
So you'll have a clean.
Yes, yeah, this line is going to come all the way through.
That means that room can.
Yeah, and this room's going to come over, and this wall's going to go here. On the back side, this is going to come through. You're going to see a piece of wall right here, and this roof is going to come through.
Here.
Yeah, it's all going to tie together. A happy union. Its yin and its yang are finally united.
That's what we were talking about.
Does that work? Has everybody agreed on that?
That's what I was saying since yesterday.
Since yesterday.
Look.
It's beautiful.
If we have
I have it here.
agreement on that last point,
Yes.
we understand it.
We
and
have a motion.
Add it
Somebody
to
wanna
the
make a motion?
condition.
It's going to come over.
I have a motion.
Wait, 1 second.
I'm trying to understand because this whole roof is not going to come. It's just going to be a small little roof.
No, the
piece
whole
that are
roof.
gonna come.
This entire roof, imagine it coming all the way through and attaching. Just like it is here. This whole roof comes through and attaches. And this wall continues over.
But there's one thing they have to work is this portion.
There will still be a small roof coming down
That's what I'm thinking.
on that wall, yeah.
Because
I wish you had a
What's your
computerized 3D modeling.
see if
Yeah, we do.
Should I just
You do?
this
Well, we-
thing comes
You
over,
know,
right?
other projects they bring,
Oh, where you can turn it around. No, we don't have that.
You're taking this dimension, the same dimension from here to here.
I mean, this would have been a perfect project for a 3D modeling to rotate a massing model.
Right. So you're going to end up having a piece there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which helps
Just a small.
tie it together. You'll have a piece behind this wall, it'll come over, and then the roof is here.
Right. That's it. Okay.
Okay.
Just like on the front side. The front side, this piece comes over
I'll have to look.
here.
It will help a model or a 3D
Then I get cut off,
model
and that's been my.
that will explain all these problems.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll listen
great.
to the tape again tomorrow.
Thank you for all your patience. Okay, is there a motion?
Did we add the posted beam, the wood, removing the plaster and all?
She mentioned that, yes,
balcony,
besides
yeah.
appropriate.
Yeah, I
That
think we got that.
size the post and beams accordingly in proportion on the balcony accordingly and wrap it with wood, not plaster.
Well, not wrap it, but
Well,
it'll just be
Constructed.
plaster.
constructed as well.
Not plaster wrap.
Use wood, not plaster.
And there's one thing we failed to mention. On the rear, the columns should be larger than shown in elevation. I think they may be shown correctly in plan.
Okay. I'll move to approve with conditions and considerations.
I second.
Fabulous.
Okay, that was a motion by Board Member Malikian and a second by Board Member Beladian? Or did I, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, Board Member Malikian?
Yes.
Board Member Beladian?
Yes.
Board Member Sakai?
Yes.
Chairperson Garriga?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
What?
I didn't know that was a controversy.
You make
was
somebody
it?
happy. Oh, but they wanted her to cut it back because
I felt it coming through the waves. Okay, approval of minutes.
Yeah, you have no minutes.
Have no minutes.
We weren't able to get them out.
So we could fly?
No, I've got a couple little announcements.
Please.
I'd like to remind you to turn in your your statement of economic interest forms to us by April 1st. I know we have Mr. Malikian's, but we need the 3 of yours.
You already did yours?
Been doing it for 9 years. I don't know how fast it
He
is.
has people working for him, the millions and millions that he spends.
He's a big shot.
He's a big shot. He's a big shot.
I gotta do this thing.
Yeah, he's a big shot.
And then the second thing is, can we collect the
let's get
plans
off.
from the 3 cases that were continued today?
Yes.
So we don't have to,
Yeah.
Is there a motion
could
to
just
adjourn?
pull them out. That'd be
I have it
great.
at home.
Okay. You only have 2 sheets.
Anything else you'd like to say?
No.
Pull it up for.
Have a great weekend.
Want to pick them up?
Motion to adjourn? Anybody?
Motion to adjourn.
So ordered.